Hello and welcome to the Hotkeys podcast, the show where we talk about everything pop culture and random in the world. I'm your host, Mick, and I'm joined by...
David Parker.
Landon Browning.
Will Dobrak.
Will, what are you doing here?
Just kidding. Jona Gallegos.
It's December 14th, 2019. Yeah, you're Jonah, for the record.
Yeah. Will's not here.
Not Will. Will's not here today. Maybe next week.
Maybe.
But probably not.
Probably not.
Definitely not. So yeah, we have Dave on the podcast who's actually here in person now.
Yeah.
Yay!
Oh, well.
I'm excited to be here. I flew out here just to be on the show.
He's
it's
flying
weird,
back
though, 'cause-
in an hour.
It's weird though,
yeah, I'm
'cause
leaving right after this.
we still have him on Skype, and we're looking at him like he's in the other room, and we're still looking at him through a TV computer screen.
yeah,
so
we
it's
should have thought this through a little bit better.
It's a little weird.
The room's too
Yeah.
small for four.
Yeah, a little behind the scenes info. We're in a really small room.
Hey, don't be hating.
It's like a closet.
Don't
Yeah,
be hating.
you don't want to be in a big room though when you're
No.
recording. You want
I feel like
like
this is a
small
pretty
confined-
You want to be
sized
in
room
like
for a
you want to be like
podcast.
in a Walmart, you know, there's like tons of noise.
There are 3 coats in between us.
a small room with concrete walls. That's exactly what you want for recording a
That's right.
talk show.
Yeah.
Wait, no, it's not. All right, so yeah, Mandalorian episode 6 was just last night.
Yeah.
I think we've all seen it.
Yep.
What do you guys think?
It's awesome. Bill Burr was in it.
I loved Bill Burr.
He's great.
He was awesome. Even though he still had his, hey, his Boston accent, I was like, this guy's awesome.
Well, you and I were talking about it last night that I guess people were complaining that there's a Boston accent in Star Wars, but it's like, who cares? There's every type of accent in
the
Star Wars.
Empire is always British. I'm
Yeah.
like, why are they speaking like British people?
Well, because Brits are evil.
Yeah,
so, I
it's
mean,
true.
Yeah. It's true.
I loved
Bostonians are thugs, so.
I loved his the joke when he says he's a sharpshooter.
Oh.
And he's like, I'm not a stormtrooper. I was
Yeah.
like, that's good. And then he also had the, are you a Gungan under that thing?
Oh, yeah.
Is that why you don't want to show your face?
Yeah.
Misa so ugly. That's good.
Yeah.
Poor Jar Jar, but not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What'd you think, Dave?
Well, I specifically about what's his name, Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
Because I've seen some of his stand up before, and it was at first I was like a little off put because I really have only seen him in stand up.
See, that's how I felt.
But I thought like very quickly I was like, he works really well
Yeah.
for this type of character. And
Yeah.
I was sold after just
Mhm.
like a couple lines.
it was jarring at first, and then
Because I was like, hey Bree, that's a comedian. Like
Yeah.
that's all I knew.
Well, I've seen
all I
videos of
knew.
him like going off on like audience members that are like heckling him, and he just like
he's notorious
completely
for
roasts
going-
them and stuff.
for
Yeah, so
going
that's
off
what I
on
had in my
others.
mind. But yeah, he was a great character. It was good.
I'm surprised they've used a lot of like comedians in The Mandalorian. Because they have like Horatio Sands was in the first one. They've used a lot of comedians, which I don't know if it's
Is that a Favreau thing? Like, is he close with a lot of other
I don't
comedians
know
or
if
something?
That's what it is. Maybe because he's been in comedies and directed, like Vince Vaughn and stuff like that. So I don't know if
So Vince Vaughn is going to be in there?
Dude,
maybe
come on.
you never know. But I think it's kind of cool that they've gotten people that are kind of different that you wouldn't expect to be. Like I would never expect
Like
Bill
Nick
Burr to
Nolte,
be
the
in-
Nick Nolte voice. I was down
When's
with
Dave
that.
Chappelle going to show up?
Oh no.
He should be a Twi'lek. Dave Chappelle's a Twi'lek.
Or a Gungan, I feel like.
You have Dave Chappelle, Jerry Seinfeld just going at it, Star Wars talk.
The cast of Seinfeld is all like the group in there. You got Kramer showing up.
with Hots?
I'd watch that.
That'd be a great spin-off show.
I mean, it would only last like half a season.
Seinfeld in space. Yeah, I'd be down
Well,
for
thank
that.
goodness we don't work for the creative division of.
I don't know. This is some gold right
LucasArts or-
here.
I feel like
Star Wars.
Gungans and ships getting coffee.
Gungans and ships.
Starfighters or
Yeah, there you go.
starships.
Gungans and ships getting blue milk.
Yeah, there you go.
Now the mention of Gungans by Bill Burr's character. Have we heard of anything Gungans since like episode 3, or were they even mentioned?
Not in any movie or anything, but in books they do. But
And books, and did they mention stuff in Rebels?
I don't know if they mentioned anything in Rebels about
Yeah.
him.
Are
But
they only from Naboo? the Gungans, or are they from other planets too?
I think they're local to Naboo.
I think they're local.
You gotta hope they're only from Naboo. Like
Yeah.
you don't want those guys all over the galaxy.
No.
Although Jar Jar's the only one that seems like an idiot. Like all the rest of them seem decent.
That is true.
You could
I know,
have
but
like
Boss Nass, like he never seemed like the most competent leader.
That's
Mm.
be gone with them.
I mean, they're fun. Like they're fun characters, but I think it works better.
And they look like they belong underwater. I mean, they got that much right.
they're a cool design.
Big,
like it's something
floppy
unique.
ears.
But I just think Jar Jar, went a little too far in the goofy aspect.
Have you heard? It goes back to the whole Darth Jar Jar thing, but people using behind the scenes stuff that George Lucas says out of context.
Like
there's a scene where he's like talking about storyboarding and stuff, and there's a shot of Jar Jar, and he says Jar Jar is the key to all of this. Like if we make him work, like we can get. And people took that as like, oh, they're trying to spin him as the Dark Lord, but he's talking about animation and having him as a CGI character.
Right.
Like
and
if we get
kids,
his character to work, it's like a goofier character, then it works. But it's just funny how people can take stuff out of context.
Well, I don't know I think it's in the Aftermath book. Did you ever read the Aftermath books? The scene they have where Jar Jar's back on Naboo.
That was so depressing.
Was so sad.
That was really depressing.
He's like, he's back on Naboo and he's a clown. Like he juggles.
He's like a court jester.
What?
Yeah, and like he's miserable, and he's like, everyone hates me because like they do it's kind of like meta, kind of like everyone hates him in the galaxy because he gave the powers to the Emperor.
It was like his fault.
So now everyone hates him, but they kind of like make it sound like everyone hates him. Like in this world,
it was kind of a wink to the audience of like we also hate Jar Jar.
And he's miserable, and it's so sad.
It was really,
like,
really
so
depressing
bad for him. I'm like, wow, that's pretty awesome though how they did that.
Yeah.
He's like has no friends, and everyone hates him, and he just entertains people. They call him the Fool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he just trips over himself.
I can't wait till they bring him back.
Crazy.
Did I show you that
He's so good.
that YouTube video of some person spliced in scenes from Air Force One.
And he gets
with Harrison Ford,
and
he's like beating up Jar Jar, like trying to get him off the Millennium Falcon and stuff. It's really funny. Yeah, it's really funny.
That's a great.
Suggest to watch
That's
it.
a great clip.
It's pretty funny. Oh, so anyway, Mandalorian. So is he just trying to get more money to survive longer? Like,
because he's just trying to like safeguard the kid almost. Like he's just trying to keep himself separate from the guild, right? Not get caught.
But I mean, he's doing this job specifically just to get money.
I think so.
Oh, you mean like the jobs he's been doing episode to episode?
No, the job specifically in episode 6.
Oh, I think it was just for money, right?
Yeah,
because he can't do anything with the guilds because all the guilds after him.
Right.
And so I just think he doesn't know what to do, so he's just kind of like, oh, I need money, and then something will come up. I'll figure something out. So yeah, I like it. A lot of people are complaining that it's kind of like one episode and then it's done, kind of like it's this week's episode, but I think that's what they're going for.
I've been fine with
they're going
serial Star Wars show is kind of what I think that works really well. It feels
kind of like the Clone Wars. Where it's just like they would do like maybe a 3-episode arc that connected, and then it would be just a random episode and another random episode and then maybe another 3-episode arc. So I'm okay with it. I feel like the last 2 episodes are gonna have like the big, because they had Giancarlo Esposito, who's supposed to be the main bad guy, and he hasn't even shown up in the series.
He was teased in episode 5, right?
Yeah, and so I think, I mean, he's done interviews and he's been in the trailers, so I think the last 2 episodes are going to be where the remnants of the Empire come for him, and he's going to have to shoot them all.
I need to clarify something. I said serial, and I meant procedural when I was talking about the Star Wars show.
No one noticed.
Procedural is
a little too late, Dave. Can't save yourself. Well, it wasn't in this episode, but in episode 5. In episode 5, I loved the shot of when he's on Tatooine. He sees the stormtrooper helmets on spears.
Spikes.
Like I just love it. It's the little details like that tell the audience exactly what the state of the galaxy is in at that moment.
That's a really cool thing because they do little things where they don't like explain. Like they don't have a guy come up and be like, "Well, now that the Empire's gone," but you notice like Tatooine, that whole place was kind of like desolate. It wasn't like it was in A New Hope. and you even go into the cantina, and it's now run by droids.
Yeah,
Right,
droid
yeah.
was run. I
And
thought
there's-
that was a
and
cool.
it's kind of empty, so you're like, okay, now that the Empire's gone, like this
Right.
place is a completely different place.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
how they're just
the huts aren't there anymore. The Bounty Hunter Guild doesn't run
Yeah.
on Tatooine. It's like a completely different
Empire's
planet.
gone.
Empire's
Yeah.
gone.
Did
yeah.
none of the
so-
huts kind of take over for Jabba after he got blown up?
It doesn't look like it.
Oh man.
Yeah, it seems really. It seems like almost like kind of like a martial law situation.
Yeah.
Like there's not
I felt
much.
bad for the
Well,
huts.
in the
What?
Feel bad for them.
The 1%. Are you a 1%er?
You know, they did. You know, he's trying to have a good time on that sail barge, man. Like,
So I wonder what they're gonna do, because I know in the Aftermath books,
hmm
what happened on Tatooine is they have a story where a guy finds
Oh, the Mandalorian.
the
armor.
Mandalorian,
Yeah.
like Boba Fett's armor,
Mhm.
and he buys it, and he becomes like an outlaw and kind of
Like a
starts-
sheriff almost,
Yeah,
right?
and he starts like
Yeah.
cleaning up like the little town there and
Mhm.
stuff.
what is this in?
It's,
It's
like
in
an
one of the Aftermath
Aftermath
books.
book. So
Have you
it-
read? Is okay. Jonah and I have only gone through them, but it's after episode 6. It
It's
goes
like
into like the Battle of
immediately
Jakku and stuff
Oh, okay.
in the later books. There's 3 books, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And in one of the books, it's talked about that this guy finds this Mandalorian armor. They don't specifically say Boba Fett or anything, but,
But it's Boba Fett.
pretty obviously Boba Fett's armor. So
He buys it from Jawas.
yeah,
And it's got like
So-
acid on it, and it's like got holes in it.
it's like
and he-
decayed and stuff.
He buys it.
Has a sarlacc tooth
Yeah.
sticking out of the breastplate.
I mean, they don't say specifically it's it, but they kind of hint at
Are
it.
they
I think-
alluding that Boba Fett died or that he escaped and did?
I
shit?
think
don't
they're
know.
alluding to it could be either. Like he
Mm.
could have survived, and
He survived.
I think that was him at the end of episode 5.
You do? You think it was Boba Fett?
Yeah, I think
I'd be okay with that.
that's
Michael would not be okay with that.
okay. Let me clarify.
Boba Fett hater.
Let me clarify. Let me clarify. What I said is that everything that they'd shown about Boba Fett, I think his character is like blown out of proportion. What you see on screen from Boba Fett, it's not that much. He doesn't do a lot. He just kind of stands there and looks cool.
He looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
that's what
that
made him.
you can honestly say that that's true. If they bring him in the Mandalorian and like explore his character more and show him actually doing things, I would like him more. I'm not saying I wouldn't like him more, but the stuff that they've shown with him already is just kind of like, well, he's just a cool character that stands there. The Mandalorian, the one in the show, looks cool and he actually does stuff. He's shown to actually be capable of taking down people and bringing in bounties and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying.
I thought we got some good backstory of Boba Fett in episode 2.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dad, Tom Wee's here.
That's like the worst thing they
Goodness.
could have done to that character. Like why
The
would they?
Anakindom.
Yeah, like they made him like a whiny little kid. Like and was like, oh,
He's not that whiny. He cheers when he's shooting. Yeah. When he shoots in the
Good one.
Dad, get him! Yeah. Anyway, that's my point.
So you think it's Boba Fett at the end of episode 5
I-
who steps
dude, they've
up to
said
the-
that he's not
the
in
chick?
it though. You don't believe him? Like,
Well,
you're
here's the
just
thing.
trying to-
I think what's
Star
gonna
Wars lies all the time.
I think there's no point. The reason they went back to Tatooine in that episode, there's really no point. Like, they went back there for a reason, and the whole episode was so you could have one guy walk up. He sounds like Boba Fett. If you watch the
So
original,
with the spurs,
he's-
yeah.
he has that sound. He sounds like him. He kneels down, and the reason they cut off so they don't show you anything besides his feet, I think there's no reason to do that unless it's a character like that. And then I'm thinking, how cool would it be if at the end of the season finale, like you have Boba Fett show up, maybe he saves the Mandalorian or something, and Boba Fett takes off his helmet, and it's the actor that played all the clones. Like it's that actor.
What's his name again?
I don't know.
He's
Something
a New Zealand,
Hawaiian?
He's a New Zealand actor.
But I'm like-
the guy that played Jango Fett.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wait, Jango Fett or the one who played the clones?
Well, it's
Jango.
the same.
It's the same guy.
Because
There was 2 different guys. There was
The other guy was when apparently they were younger, but he's Cody.
it's the guy in Aquaman,
Yeah.
the dad in Aquaman.
I haven't seen Aquaman.
Yeah.
But so that actor, if they have him show up, that would be
Jason
like
Momoa?
that would be like a great, maybe that would be like a great ending. Like,
Yeah.
and then you can have season 2 where you've got Boba Fett and
He's the Mandalorian.
Well, you got Boba Fett and the man.
Maybe he kills Mando. Maybe he kills
What?
him in the
No,
second
No.
I want to see Boba Fett and Mando working together.
Yeah.
Like Boba Fett like training him.
I'd be down for that.
Because Mando, even though he is a bad A, he's kind of really clumsy too. Like he gets shot a lot. A lot of the things he does are kind of like he struggles with. And so I think.
But then you compare that to Boba Fett. Boba Fett's
don't be hating.
so clumsy
What I'm
too.
Don't
saying
be hating. Don't be hating.
His jetpack malfunctioned.
He's
That was
shooting.
not
He's shooting.
his fault,
He's
okay?
shooting at Luke.
Boba
He
Fett.
misses like 3 shots. He's defeated by a half-blind Han Solo who swings his stick and it hits Boba Fett. He
just
flies.
an
He hits.
accident.
He
It was-
hits
it
the
was
barge
random
and he
chance.
falls down.
That's
He
a
couldn't even stop
Yeah,
himself.
but
He couldn't even stop himself
He
falling
escaped-
down the Sarlacc
He
pit.
escaped the Sarlacc pit, which no one has ever
And
done.
really, that's just a testament of Han's skill
Yeah.
that he
You're
possesses.
twisting it. You're twisting
Well,
it.
see, here's the
Twisting
deal.
it.
If that scenario plays out 100 times, that only happens once. Like,
Yeah, he rolled.
It doesn't
a
matter.
one,
The one
like-
time counts though.
But I think
There's not 100 episode 6s.
yeah,
I
there
think
is.
What does that have to do
There's
with anything?
Infinite reality.
but I think you can have a grizzled Boba Fett that survived those 20 years.
I'm not saying you can't.
And you can
It's
have
not even
him-
20 years. It's 6 years.
Oh, I guess so. But
Yeah,
I think
come on,
Boba-
Jonah, get the timeline
But
right.
That
Boba,
would be
Boba
pretty
Fett's still
cool,
a bad guy, though, right? Like, is
He's just a bounty
He's a
hunter.
bounty,
though.
bounty hunter.
That's
you know,
what
He's a
Mando
gun for
is.
hire.
Yeah.
I
He's
think
not
it-
necessarily
you gotta
bad.
make money somehow, Landon. Come on.
I think it's either him or it's Cad Bane.
Who's
Didn't Cad Bane die though?
No, they never
Who's
showed
Cad Bane?
He's another bounty hunter.
that. He's another.
You
bounty
guys
hunter
really
from
need
the-
to watch the
from
Clone
the Clone
Wars.
Wars.
Okay,
He's a really cool character.
But him and Boba Fett have beef because Cad Bane has like a hat on and he's got like a tubes in his mouth and
He's got a really cool voice.
It
think
wasn't
I've
IG-88 though, right? We know that.
no,
Okay.
yeah, different legs. Unless he got different legs.
He got Darth Maul's
Yeah,
legs.
there you go.
They switched.
So it's good though. I love the I've loved the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
So.
that is a decent theory because if it was, what's his face, the actor, Giancarlo, whatever.
Giancarlo Esposito?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense for him
'Cause
to
if-
be there.
Yeah, well, and even if he was, why wouldn't they have shown him? Because like it's not like it's somebody that's pre-established.
Right.
Well, he could also be the person that the Fennec bounty hunter was going to meet because she said that she was going to meet him at Moss, whatever.
Maybe Disney's
other
just
city.
cheap and they didn't want to pay him like appearance rights for that episode. So
I think there's no way they would tease. Unless
it would
was
make a lot of
major
sense.
character.
I mean, it's not that interesting unless, like you were
Unless
saying,
you'd
like it's
already
an
known it.
established character that we know who it
Yeah.
is.
like because if then
Yeah.
someone shows up and you're like, wait, who's that? Like that was it? And like why did they make it so like, ooh, who's that mysterious character?
They got to sell more
The-
Boba Fett.
The only problem with it's if it is Boba Fett, I feel like there is so much to live up to that like they there's not much room for error. There's not much.
Yeah.
Right.
And it could easily be like this was a
that's
a disaster. It was like way too fan servicey.
That's the reason why they
bad writing.
why they in the beginning wanted a character that wasn't Boba Fett, the character that wasn't IG-88 because there were still
Right.
prior stuff that talked about them. So now they have the freedom to do whatever they want instead of being bound by previous stuff.
I just love Boba Fett. That's just
I know you do.
He's so
I know you do.
He's so
Dave.
cool.
Well, did you see the Lego set that's coming out? All the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
It's just like a
Uh-uh.
battle pack of 4 Mandalorians.
Oh, you
I'm
gotta
like,
buy that.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just $12.
Is that the one that has like the flamethrower, like the huge flamethrower? Or?
It's just like 4 different Mandos, different colors.
Okay, cool.
I'm like,
That's like gotta be the greatest Lego set ever.
it's cool. It's just like
It's just minifigures and like.
I want to get his ship as a Lego
I know,
set.
they-
Oh,
haven't made it yet.
they will.
What's the name of the ship?
The Razor Crest.
Razor Crest, yeah.
Oh, whose ship? Oh, Mando's ship.
Mando ship, yeah. There's so many cool names of ships in Star Wars. Like, and
Tantive
Fallen
4.
Order. In Fallen Order, their ship is the Stinger Mantis.
Which one's that? Tanta 4? Which one's
That's
that?
just the one from
That's
Tantive
the-
4.
That's the Corvette, right?
Yeah, the one that gets taken.
It's
at
the very
beginning.
first ship you see in
The one that's going to
be.
be in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Wait, the same one?
I think so. I think it's the same
Yep.
one.
That's what they say.
Is Leia gonna get sucked out of that too?
Maybe.
I'm really,
Not again.
I'm getting really excited actually for the new movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it's gonna be good, but like I'm excited. For
But
it.
at the
I'm
end,
gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy
but
watching.
yeah,
it.
it's Star Wars at the end of the day. So
Is it
It should be fun.
and I was thinking about this today because the guy in front of me on the plane on one of my trips watched The Last Jedi. Is it worth it to watch it again before seeing the movie, or just like put
I
it
don't
out
know.
of your mind
I'm watching
and
them all.
then just go like in fresh with episode 9? because I don't really want to watch Episode 8 again anytime
Ever.
soon. But I don't know if like just for contextual purposes, because I
I don't
only
know.
saw the
Like,
movie once.
do you remember things in the movie?
Yeah,
Oh, I
mean,
remember.
it's hard to forget.
Then no, you don't
Okay.
have to.
I've gone back and initially I was like, I don't like it. I've gone back and been like, it's not as bad. Like,
How about that casino though, man? The master
well,
code
I think
breaker.
that
Did they reference Canto Bite in this episode?
They did too. Yeah.
They said his
Sounds
ship
like
looked like a Canto Bite
slot
slot
machine.
machine.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
The more I think about Star Wars, I'm like, every movie has things that you're just like, what? That that seem
I
kind
guess,
of pointless.
Like Ewoks or something.
Well, people complain about Ewoks.
I love me some Ewoks. Good
People complain about the prequels all the time. So I don't like the Canto Bite stuff. There are a lot of things I don't like, but at the same time, I don't think it's as bad as like people make it out to be. Like, there's such an uproar about the people that hate Last Jedi and the people that love it that I'm just like, like Attack of the Clones was pretty awful, but I still rewatch that movie, because
I think
it's
Attack
still-
of the Clones is better than The Last Jedi.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
when I try
I
to
don't
think
think
of
so.
like redeem, or okay, maybe not redeeming, but like the amalgamation of everything that happened in The Last Jedi, there's nothing that stands out as something that's like, I really enjoyed that, or it was something that was like, that was really cool. The only thing I can think of was the hyperdrive thing at the end.
Wait, when
A
the
lot of
last-
people hate that.
I hate
too.
that.
Well,
I hate
I-
that. I hate it.
I thought
think
it was
that's
kinda
one
cool
of-
in
I think that's
practice.
a cool.
That ruins Star Wars. Ruined.
How is it ruined
I
Star
think-
Wars?
I think it
They
was
could have
really
done that to
cool
the Death Star.
in-
No,
Just-
no. Let me tell you
no.
why.
Coulda, yeah.
No,
No.
listen to him. Listen.
The Death Star is gigantic. Like,
So were those ships? It blew up all those ships. It blew up their
it just
whole
blew
entire
up.
fleet.
It just blew up one.
No, it blew up the whole fleet. Like that one exploded into the other ones. Like they destroyed that whole fleet.
Well, it went through the main one. But
Ruined Star Wars.
my cousin,
My cousin's a scientist. He said
No,
it's impossible.
My cousin was saying the same thing. He's like, why wouldn't the rebellion do that in the original ones, like when the Star Destroyers were attacking them? And I was like, well, the difference is this is like a last ditch effort. Like the rebellion had ships, and they were like, these are a precious commodity because they were still trying to like build up. And so in this last one, it's like
That was literally their last ship.
ship, and the rest were just transports. They're like, we got to save these 15 people, and this is the only thing we can do. So they're like, this is our last resort.
Well, okay, so going back
And it
to
was one person.
And it was one
that was
person. So I was
Then
like,
you could
that's
just totally
why they
put
wouldn't.
droids on like these ships and jump them into.
Droids can't fly ships.
So I want to go back to what I was saying.
Gosh dang it.
So like in that movie in particular, Last Jedi, like if I think of the moment that stands out the most, it would be that scene. But I still think that
As a good scene.
as the most memorable, or kind of most memorable is probably the best way I can put this. But I still would say it was like a 6 out of 10. That's that kind of sequence. Everything else I feel falls kind of around that or well below that. So the amalgamation of everything put together in that film, I feel like it's just not worth it.
You don't like the throne room scene where Kylo Ren and Rey are fighting?
I like that.
No,
scene.
If you-
I like that
not
scene.
really.
That's a
If
great
you,
scene.
it's not though. If you like actually look at what they're doing, the choreography is terrible.
Oh,
It's
but-
there's a lot of waiting. There's a lot of obvious misses over their head.
Okay.
I'm
I've
telling
only
you.
seen the movie
but
twice.
I'm telling you, watch that
You've seen
scene
it
and
twice.
you'll
I went
see
with
how
my
bad it
parents.
is.
But have you seen the choreography in Episode 4 where Obi-Wan and
That's
Vader
different
fight?
though.
Oh,
That's
it's the
different though.
same.
No, because now this is built off of what good choreography could look like with like Episode 1
Duel of
or
Fates.
3.
I thought it was pretty good. If you
Watch
go
it
in-
again
if
and
you-
you'll
I-
see.
I do
You'll
watch
see.
them. But I think if you go back
Watch
and
it right
see,
now.
like, if you're like, oh, well, they're going slower. Like the scene where he pulls the saber through Snoke, and then
Oh,
where she
yeah.
even grabs the saber and then he ignites it into the person's face. Those are things that I'm like, that's an awesome scene. That's never been seen in Star Wars. So those things,
Don't
I
even get me
think,
started with Snoke though. What a waste of a character.
I think,
No. See, he was subverting your expectations.
Oh,
of
okay.
what a
Then it's good
Of
then.
what a supreme leader should be.
Then it's
for,
good.
for
I
an
think-
empirical type of structure.
I think Rise of Skywalker is gonna make people go back and see The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens differently.
Well, you were telling me
Well, there's a scene that you guys probably aren't watching any clips that are coming out.
No, I haven't seen any. I haven't seen anything.
So I won't go into the spoiler, but they released a scene
over Fortnite, right?
They released that one,
In
but
Fortnite?
they did one like
they released a scene in Fortnite.
Well, like while you're playing,
Yeah,
like
no,
you're
like-
like, gosh dang it,
Yeah,
I just
no.
died. I've been avoiding spoilers for months.
You're supposed to
Or like
go,
you're about to win.
you're supposed to go to a certain spot.
You can win and see the scene, or you have to lose.
Sorry, Jonah.
No, you're supposed to go to a certain spot. I watched that scene too, and then they played the scene in the game.
Oh, okay.
So
Weird.
Characters were there watching it, and
Is that why they have the like, stormtrooper skins now? And
yeah.
Well, they do I guess they do a lot of crossovers for stuff.
I think a
all
lot
the
of it's
time, right?
Disney though, because there's a lot of.
I mean, but Disney
Marvel
owns
stuff.
like what 75% of
Everything,
every
yeah.
property.
Well, yeah, but there was a lot of like Marvel.
Disney
stuff,
owns
too.
half of me, I think. So, but anyway, so there's a scene that came out like 3 days ago, and it's like a minute and 30 seconds, and it involves a character, and that character there's like a dialogue thing that in like 3 short like a conversation they're having in like 1 sentence he changes the way you think about a certain character in the last 2 movies.
Well, okay, and I guess
and I was just like, okay, so that's cool.
I mean, like I want to like Star Wars properties.
Right.
I'm not like trying.
You're not going in.
I'm not
hating
going in to like want to dislike
Right.
it. I was really excited for Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I tricked
I think
myself.
you'd have to be crazy to go into a Star Wars movie and wanting it to be bad.
but
I mean-
I'm not holding on to it like that. Like it's a bad movie and it never will be. If there are things that can redeem it, I am completely open for that. It's just from what I remember seeing the movie, I only saw it the one time.
So you're saying if Episode 9 redeems stuff in Episode 8, then you'd like it better?
I mean, yeah, isn't that how redemption works?
Well, no, but like the movie on its own though is still
I know,
a crap movie.
But there can be things in certain films that like, especially in like a saga type of story,
Yes,
like
but
Star
I feel
Wars.
like a movie shouldn't have to like count on another movie to make it.
It shouldn't.
better.
It shouldn't. But if there is something, look, I want to like Star Wars. Okay, let's like.
I'm
Yeah,
saying
I
that's
think
what
we all do.
I
I think we all want to like
But
it.
I also don't want to lie to myself and be like, no, like Last
It's
Jedi
great,
is
it's
okay.
great.
Like,
Yeah.
The biggest thing I had a problem with was Luke, like stuff they did with Luke. But I can.
They turned his character into.
I think we would all probably agree with you.
Well,
on
even
that.
even
But-
Mark Hamill was like,
But I still think that they can do stuff in Rise of Skywalker that can make you go, like, even if they explain a little background where you can be like, okay, that makes more sense why Luke would do that. I think that's kind of what the biggest problem was for me.
and that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping
And I
for
think they
something
can,
that
or
further
e-
clarifies.
or
stuff
even
and
the
stuff.
Snoke thing, like, oh, they wasted that character, but what if they do reveal something about Snoke that you're like, oh my gosh, like that's kind of cool, and it kind of changes that. So I think there's the story. It's not going to redeem Canto Bight, and it's not going to redeem certain things you didn't like, but I think it can redeem character arcs that you're like, oh, now you're seeing the end of that character arc.
I mean, I would like that to happen.
I think
because
there's a
I
think there's a
want
chance.
I want stuff in Episode 8 to make sense, but Episode 8 still is just a bad movie
I
in
still
my
stand,
opinion.
like nothing happens in that movie either, really.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, like I mean, I see what you're saying. Like a lot of things happen, but like
There's no
there's not a lot of purpose in it.
yeah.
I found it not very like enjoyable.
Yeah, I felt like the whole movie could have been like the opening 20 minutes.
I think it
Or
was supposed to
opening
make you
30
feel like kind of like a sense of urgency
Yeah.
for the rebels, but I don't know what they either how it was it didn't
the
come across
slow-
that way. It just came across as too sluggish.
The slow moving chase didn't like
The high speed slow
you
chase.
understand what's going on, but when you're seeing the scene, they're not moving very fast, so it kind of diminishes the. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and if you look at past Star Wars movies, like in Episode 5 when they're chasing the Millennium Falcon, that stuff doesn't really get brought up.
Well, I'm not even talking about like the physical properties of the ships moving in
Yeah,
space.
'cause that
I mean
can
like
be-
just like the overall plot of the film.
No,
Like-
I get it.
like,
And like
okay.
that's what I'm saying. They made a weird plot in the movie revolving around something
That's already
has-
been like
that has never really mattered before or been like a
an
question of
issue.
like,
Okay, yeah, that makes
oh,
sense.
they can only move at the same speed and like what? Like,
I think
Ran out of hyperjuice
or
fuel.
like why didn't the Resistance just come out of hyperspace right at the planet?
because they were being followed. They found out that they could track them through hyperspace.
Yeah, but weren't they going there anyway?
They weren't going there.
Where were they
They
going?
were going somewhere else. And then when they realized they were running out of fuel, they were like,
so it just happened to be a planet.
They were like the close,
really close that was an old rebel.
Well, yeah,
That's so
but
stupid.
but that
Oh my gosh.
but that happens in every movie. Like that
Not a Star Wars movie, Jonah.
in every
Never.
movie.
Star Wars
in every
movie.
movie, there's coincidences like that.
I
It's
get
just-
it. I get that.
Mando
but
just happens upon the cantina that we all know so well.
So I think that
Han Solo,
those
or the Han Solo fake Han Solo character is sitting in that same seat that Han Solo was sitting in.
did you notice there's no blaster point behind
Yeah.
them? It's like,
Renovations.
I don't think so.
The droids
not on
cleaned it
that
up.
planet.
Maclunkey.
Maclunkey.
I think last thing I'll say about Last Jedi, I think Rian Johnson kind of got screwed with the way
He screwed himself.
the way the Force Awakens ended with Rey holding the lightsaber to Luke. He was forced to then continue the next movie with no time jump. So if he could have, if that's because people wanted to know what's Luke gonna say, right? Because the whole movie led up to that point, and now he was forced to, okay, how can I make it so that there's, like you said, like there's stakes, but this has happened because people wanted to know what Rey said to Luke and how that conversation went. So he was forced to start the movie, whereas in all the other movies there's a time jump where you could start the crawl and say the First Order has controlled the galaxy. Kylo Ren has gone back to Snoke and continued his training. Like, and you can have like characters grow and develop over a year, and put them in different situations, as opposed to having Finn being like picking up right after The Force Awakens, so you have to continue that, and there's no like progression. You know what I'm saying?
But
I just think that was a tough spot.
But
to
he
be.
wasn't forced to make a slapstick joke out of that moment that everybody had been waiting over a year for.
I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
But-
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like
Just quirky Luke,
Well,
doing his quirky
but
stuff.
that scene,
milk.
if him instead of throwing the lightsaber over,
He could have
the back-
dropped it.
He could have killed
drops
Rey.
it.
Could have chopped off Rey's
Could
head.
have given it back to
That
Rey.
was so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
But
Roll
so
credits.
I just think that was a mistake. But it's not the end of the world. Like,
No, I
you
think
still get the feeling of he doesn't want anything to do with this.
I understand what you're saying. I think they could have easily, though, that like started the movie where they ended episode 7. We get a little bit of, I don't know, maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes of kind of the introduction of Rey with Luke, and then we have our time jump. And like we have a more experienced Rey. She's been working with Luke. Then we can now cut to what new is happening with the Resistance. I know that would be new. That would be a new precedent set for a Star Wars film, because every other film has had the time jump in between films. So like, but if Rian Johnson is crazy enough to do the crazy different things he wants to, I feel like that would have been okay to do.
What about?
I
like-
think with Star Wars, it's lose-lose with anything. Because if they would have done that, then you got people complaining, why are there time jumps? Like, people are even complaining that there's flashbacks. You know, we've never had flashbacks in Star Wars, so I just think
Star Wars fans do love to complain about
Yeah, they're a bunch of
everything.
whiny.
anything. I mean, we've been complaining the
the whole time.
past like 25,
But you know what?
30
It's
minutes
our
about
right. We get to complain about it.
fans. It's our Ryan's fans.
You were gonna say something like
Yeah,
that?
What are they gonna do in the next movie though with all the rebel? Like, because didn't like all the whole rebellion get like killed off?
Do you mean the
like,
Resistance?
resistance? Whatever.
Well, so they're
Wasn't
all
it implied that they all?
I mean,
they're
there's not-
all
there's not a
the
lot
rest
left,
of them
right?
were on the Millennium Falcon, but this movie is supposed to be a time jump, right?
Yeah.
Like a year or something.
I think
30
what
years.
they say is Leia says
Rey's dead, and yeah,
Leia,
was a myth.
God.
it's
Le-
true.
Leia
Oh,
says we have all we need, and so the people in the Millennium Falcon, and then I assume the people that Leia was calling that didn't
Right,
get there.
yeah.
I think Lando's going to be one of those. I think there's rumors that Wedge is going to be back in this
Oh,
one.
Mhm.
Wow.
So I'm like, I
Old
think
man Wedge.
Well, because you see that shot in like the first trailer that they released, it was just like thousands of ragtag ships.
I think they're going to go back to that. Where
Yeah.
it's like the final
Yeah.
battle is all we got.
Mhm.
This is our last chance. The First Order's taking over the galaxy again.
Yep.
We've built up a small group, and that's going to be kind of like the last thing. I'm excited for it. I think
I'm
it's going to be
excited
good.
too.
Yeah, I'm really stoked. Are you stoked?
Yes,
I want
I'm
Ryan
sorry. Yeah,
Johnson.
I want to like the movie. Of course, I want to like. I love Star Wars. It's probably
I think you want to hate the movie.
probably my favorite
I think
franchise.
you're going in wanting to hate it.
Is it your favorite franchise?
It's that
Above
Lord of the Rings. It's they're very close. They're just so very different those as well. But I love both of them.
I agree with you. I think Star Wars has meant more to me over more years than Lord of the Rings.
Because
It's just been around longer.
Well, like the movies. Because Lord of the Rings has been around longer than Star Wars. But most of us at least is probably very similar. Landon excluded because he's not a big Lord of the Rings fan. But like we grew up with Star Wars probably like. I was talking to someone about this recently. I think it was like 2 or 3 the first time I saw Star Wars because my parents like Star Wars. So like Michael and I were inundated with Star Wars toys, media stuff from a very young age.
You don't remember the first time you probably saw any of the first 3 movies, right?
Not vividly. Like Lord of the Rings, I didn't see that until I was like 10 or 11. So I love Lord of the Rings. I think they are better movies. I think that's an easy statement to make, but like kind of like Jona was saying, like a place in your heart, almost or a thing that has maybe stuck with you longest or influenced you more.
I think the love story with Anakin and Padme just beats the Aragorn and Arwen.
What about the love story between the dwarf and the
that stands alone
from The Hobbit?
that has no equal.
Kate from Lost.
Tariel.
What's her name?
We have to go back.
Evangeline Lilly.
We have to go back.
You say that in Elvish?
No. I think Star Wars also has more like there's more like fun you can have imagining the potential of other stuff.
Well, it's much more of a phenomenon than Lord of the Rings is. Like there's people that like call themselves Jedis, like it's like a legal religion in places.
Well,
like it's
is it?
Yeah, it's like that type of thing that as popular as Lord of the Rings is, I don't think it's
as much as Star Wars is removed from us, like it's saying that it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's removed enough that we can kind of create a lot of different things. Kind of Lord of the Rings really is kind of presented as a history. It's hard to like build off of it in such a way where you can kind of like where it's sort of a sandbox universe, where Star Wars, it kind of has sort of infinite possibility.
Well, that's because there's no books prior to the movies.
Well, but Lord of the Rings, like it's just presented as like there's not much like else you could do in that world. I don't.
Sci-fi, as opposed to like medieval fantasy, doesn't have as much constraints because it is science fiction. Fantasy, or medieval fantasy, is something like Lord of the Rings, has to fit into more specific boxes. There is a lot of room and there's a lot of potential for kind of different worlds, different kind of instances and stuff. But I think there's more potential for kind of variety in something like the Star Wars universe.
But at the same time, there's thousands of years of history written down for the Middle Earth.
Yeah. I know that. But I'm saying it kind of does seem more like a history, something that like has happened that we can like look back on and maybe observe or learn from. Star Wars, though it is in the past, it's something that it almost seems like you can build from it and create something new, if that makes any sense.
I think there's an element too of technology. So like when Lord of the Rings, the books came out, like it was like a phenomenon, and like people were like graffitiing Frodo lives.
Yeah.
Like it was huge. But I think so there was a huge fan base of like reading the books, but then as the thing that Star Wars has is it came out as a movie, and seeing things that people have never seen before and how it transformed kind of movies and stuff and the whole toys stuff. So Lord of the Rings as a book, as people started like seeking their entertainment through movies and stuff like that, I think the fandom just dropped more because like nowadays kids maybe haven't even seen the Lord of the Rings movies and they're sure as not reading the books. So kind of that whole fandom of that is dropping off, whereas Star Wars, Disney Plus has stuff. You got toys, you got Legos everywhere, and like kids are seeing that. Like you talk to kids now that read The Hobbit, and they're like, "Oh, we had to read that for school, and it sucks." So like, I think that's kind of where Star Wars kind of was lucky to have movies, and to just be like, "This is the new big thing." And Lord of the Rings was like made an impact, and a lot of people started writing about orcs and stuff like that because of what Tolkien had done. But I think
Well, also
There
too,
wasn't
like
any
on a
more.
surface level, I would say Star Wars is arguably cooler
Oh yeah.
than Lord of the Rings, like space and
Well,
ships and
it's-
guns and lightsabers. Like that's
Yeah.
It's not restrictive. There's no restrictive technology in
Yeah.
Star Wars because
Yeah.
the sky is the limit. Like you can.
space.
Well, and also like it's like they go to all these different cool planets, and you're like you kind of wonder, it's like, well, what keeps going on here after they leave, or like all like.
Yeah.
Right.
I never felt like with Lord of the Rings. Like Lord of the Rings is such a,
We know what's
point-
happening in
well-
the Shire as soon
Well,
as
no,
everyone-
it's a point A to point B kind of story. It's like everybody is just all in on like this mission to do things, and then it's like
Well,
there's not much-
specifically those 3 books. I mean, there's
Yeah.
like I said, there's thousands of years of history written down that's a part of that.
But to get to that,
canonical
you have
thing.
to like read the Silmarillion or
Yeah.
whatever that book is, which I've heard is like really dry.
Well, it's more of a
Like,
it's more of a
it's-
textbook, really.
Yeah.
It's not like a
It's
Like
like
a story.
It's like history. Like he does an amazing job of like doing like.
laying foundations for a civilization.
But I'm saying,
The
like-
history of a
Do
civilization.
Do you think he believed
And
it
a
was real?
language.
No.
I guess what I'm saying is that I think that history, like that long history, is already written for the Lord of the Rings. Star Wars is constantly just
Right.
kind of.
I think we're saying
Starting
the same
new.
thing.
Yeah,
we're just
no.
saying
Yeah,
it
we
different
are. Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
We
But I'm
all
right.
agree
The
here.
point is,
And
there's
Lord of the Rings has an
different
end
ways.
point.
Star Wars
too, like,
equals
they-
cool. Lord of the Rings equals cool, but in a different
Yeah.
way.
At the end
And
of the
I'm
Lord, and the end of the Lord of the Rings, they kind of reach an end point, right? Like the world, or is there still people living?
Well, eventually,
in
like, yeah, a lot
The
of like
elves
the
leave.
greater races kind of leave, and they leave it to like the
The men.
the men and the
dwarves.
lesser race. It's
Dude,
like
it's
the
a
lesser races or whatever.
racist. It's a racist novel.
I mean, Tolkien, like notoriously known for being no.
Why do you think there are no black elves?
Dude,
Wait a minute.
And how come all of the orcs have dark skin?
oh man, it's lining up, dude. Tolkien's a dirtbag. man.
Didn't you hear in the Lord of the Rings when they're like going to Isengard and they're making the Uruk-hai? They're actually listening to like Kanye West and rap in there down there.
Oh my gosh! All right, I'll cut that out. But Jonah's not white, so it's okay. He can say that.
That's not
The
racist.
listeners don't know that.
It's a hypothetical of if Tolkien was racist.
Jonah has white skin, blonde hair, and blue eyes. I don't know what you're talking
And some
about.
questionable tattoos.
Oh no!
I'm actually a ginger.
Oh goodness. So yeah, Mandalorian was a good episode.
Yeah, that was great.
I mean, it does fuel that love for Star Wars, and just like I started playing KOTOR for the very first time.
Oh, you did.
I don't think I would have
Okay.
started.
What's KOTOR for?
Knights of the Old Republic.
Republic. It was a BioWare RPG that came out in
Ooh.
2003 or 2004.
People say that's an
something like
amazing
that.
game. I've never played it.
And I've heard that as well. And I was like, I've heard enough times that this is a good game. I bought it on Steam for like $2 years
Oh,
ago.
wow.
I was like, I'll install it because I kind of like getting that
Get that
Star
itch. You
Wars
get that
bug.
itch.
Yeah, I got that Star Wars itch.
You don't want to drop $60
for
for
Fallen Order. So I was like, I have all these Star Wars games that I haven't played, so I was like, I might as well. So I did start that one. So far it's been pretty fun. I haven't played a lot of it just because traveling and stuff like that. But
You didn't bring your PC with you?
I did not bring my giant
Bring your
PC
PS4?
with me. No, I didn't bring my PS4.
Dude, what are we
Sucks.
gonna do while you're here?
Sucks when
Oh,
you
you know,
lose
just
on
gonna
the
hang
heist.
out?
Yeah, wait, we have to talk in person?
I guess. Gosh,
you
dang it.
know you guys don't want to play board games with them.
I brought board games.
If Dave tries to
Nailed
cheat
it.
one more time.
I brought Caverna so that I
friendship
could.
is over.
Oh, you brought Caverna?
I didn't. There's too
Oh.
much stuff in that game.
Oh,
Game's too
yeah.
big.
Yeah.
Plus, I was too afraid I'd lose to you.
Yeah, well, you probably would if we like.
Because I
played
don't
with
know the
real
rules of the game. I don't know how to teach the rules to Landon because I'm.
No, you knew the rules, and you knew which ones you left out. You screwed my farm over.
Well, did you guys see the newly released next gen Xbox?
The tower.
The Series
Xbox
X?
One XX, Series X, or whatever it's
It
called.
looks so
Series
stupid.
X.
I saw a trailer for it.
Is it the next gen one, or is it like the next tier of
No, it's the
Xbox?
next
It's
One?
the next gen one. What
Okay.
Project Scarlet was.
Is it coming out
next holiday season?
2020?
Yeah.
It's like okay.
Yeah, 2020.
Yep.
The only thing I had heard is that it's pretty much just like a PC.
It's pretty much a PC. Yeah.
so it's like at that point it's
It
like
even looks more like a PC.
at that point it's like why didn't you just
Yeah.
yeah.
build your own PC at
Pretty-
that point or buy a
pretty much.
PC?
Well, especially because all the Xbox games come to it the same way.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is then is this new Xbox is it like are there components that you can replace like you can on a PC?
That would be smart if
It would be smart. I don't know.
don't-
I think they just released the.
Like upgrade video card? You're like I'll drop another $300 on a better
I don't
video
know.
card
I
and
don't.
slap
I don't
in.
think that they would do that. But the thing is, it's
I don't know.
probably it's probably cheaper than a PC.
Maybe. Yeah.
It'll probably be like $400 or
Probably
something.
400, yeah.
400, 500.
Can't you get a good Well, I don't know much about PCs. I know my
It's
cousin.
for nerds.
My cousin.
You can get like pretty good gaming PCs for not a lot of money. Like you just have to do good shopping. Like when I built mine, I kind of waited on certain parts that like you can buy in certain seasons where you can get much reduced rates on stuff. It's like it really just depends on when you buy your PC parts. But yeah, you can get like a really good rig for not a lot of money.
Because my cousin works for Cloud9. He does their graphic design. So he's I think built like 3 of his PCs, and his wife has built his own.
Mhm.
So he's into all that, and he plays all the.
The nerd games.
Yeah, he does.
Is this Corey?
Yeah, Corey.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know, but I don't think it's super expensive as far as like comparable. If you do the new Xbox, is probably gonna be pretty expensive. So
I don't know. There's just something inherently more like simple about a console than a PC. Also,
I'm stupid.
It has its upsides, but it definitely has its downsides.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's
but-
pros and cons to both.
And you get to the point where like you're an adult where it's like I can have both or all. You know what I mean? Like it's like
No.
Well, I just
One
I
or
don't
the
have
unless money's tight, like it is for Landon.
for me,
you know,
and
like-
also time's like a factor too.
well,
where
yeah,
it's
that
like-
makes sense.
That's
That's
the thing
valid.
too. It's like because I'm like.
if you quit your
I'm
job,
gonna-
you have more time to play video games, Landon.
I know Landon's not he's a Nintendo hater. I love Nintendo, so I normally get the Nintendo consoles and then having a PlayStation.
child.
So I just think like, why do I need an Xbox? Like I just feel like PlayStation's better than Xbox.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like if you have a choice between those two that are kind of similar, you go for PlayStation, and then the Nintendo offers like a different playing
Yeah.
system
No.
Yeah.
than both of those. So it's
That-
like that to me is like if you're gonna get 2 consoles, I'd get the one that's completely different, and then the one that I think is better that most people have.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know
you
what I
have
mean?
to get the Nintendo one because how else are you gonna play any of their games?
Right.
And then you get the one that like you're used to or you're loyal
Right.
to. Some people like to try variety. Like I'm kind of like loyalist when it comes to at least PlayStation stuff because that's what I've had for the last
Trophies.
Right.
3 or
Well,
4
I just-
generations.
And also even Halo, like
Halo.
I may be
sucks.
wrong about this, but I'm like I feel like the PlayStation, like the exclusive PlayStation games, are better than the.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
way better.
Because
Way
what
better.
Xbox has Halo, Gears of War, one of the racing games.
Forza's supposed to be good if you like racing games.
Because I
I
just feel like
guess so,
PlayStation
but I
has
mean-
better exclusive.
Yeah, but PlayStation also has racing games. It has tons of other exclusives that
yeah. if
like
you wanna-
I
if you wanna-
I couldn't think of like a good like third person exclusive that Xbox has.
Yeah.
Third party exclusive?
Did I say third person?
Yeah.
Well, no, third person too. Like
Gears
a
is supposed to be good.
Oh, you mean like a third person action adventure
yeah,
game?
like an Uncharted or Horizon. You know, that type of thing that PlayStation is very well known for.
Yeah.
For doing.
Yeah, I think for the longest time they really haven't been known as a strong suit for their first party titles. But I mean, they've also kind of been chasing the success of in particular the 360 because they've had
Yeah, the Xbox One like took a dive from
Yeah.
PS4.
360.
I was really surprised because I kind of expected kind of just the status quo. I kind of thought, okay, Xbox is probably going to be more popular than the PlayStation 4, but I'm fine with that because I like the PS4 games anyway. It doesn't matter. to
Yeah.
me.
Actually,
Well, I think-
sales-wise, I think the PS3 actually ended up selling more than the
It was
Xbox
like
360.
I'm probably,
even
like,
or just a
worldwide.
little bit more.
I mean, like if you look maybe
Yeah.
in the US, maybe it was more Xbox, but I mean like
Well,
Xbox
the
360 in like Japan, for instance, was like
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
No,
yeah.
they're all
yeah, it's
about
all
Sony.
Sony,
Yeah.
all Sony and Nintendo.
Nintendo, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
they're like
Yeah,
Microsoft.
the
it's a US
PS4
company.
The PS4 has sold over 100 million units.
Yeah.
So far, and I think the Xbox they haven't. I don't think they've
No, they haven't
officially
announced.
released any numbers, but I think
like
it's speculated
40.
around like 35 to 40.
Yeah.
And
It sucks.
yeah, it's weird though. Like, it just must have been from like their launch of the system. Like
It
there was
that
like
press conference
a lot of
when they
crappy stuff in the press conference about like, well,
being
you know,
online all the time.
gaming's kind of the secondary part to what we're wanting to do here, and then you look at like the newer Xbox, you can see that they're course correcting with no, this is a gaming focused system, and that's what we want to
and
do.
they do have that the Xbox Game Pass thing, which is a
Yeah.
really good deal.
Yeah, it is.
Like you,
Well, and if you're a PC gamer, like
Mhm.
there are certain games that you can
It's the
play
same service,
on.
yeah.
It's the
Yep.
same service. So like me as someone who has never owned an Xbox, who probably will never own an Xbox, there's been a couple times I've seen the Game Pass and I'm like, that actually looks pretty cool for something.
Because you get to,
I'd want to.
don't you get to like keep the games forever?
Yeah, as long as you're paying. It's
Yeah.
like PS
like,
Plus,
PS
but
Plus
you
or
get
whatever.
you get every exclusive Microsoft game the day it comes out
Yeah.
for free.
Forza 2, Forza 3.
But then a bunch of other games.
Gears
You
5.
get a bunch of their you get a bunch of the Xbox 360 games too that are the backwards
Well,
compatible.
and also
ones.
too, something that sounds really cool about this newest Xbox console is that it's completely backwards compatible with
okay.
Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and then the new stuff. Like, I don't think the PS5 is going to have that.
Is it just going to
level
be
of-
PS4 backwards compatibility?
I mean, I would be like, honestly, I don't care about PS1, PS2, PS3 stuff. I would,
I don't know. I have
I would-
PS3 games that I actually wish
Do you
that
really
I would.
replay them?
but
Like,
that's the thing.
Yeah, I
that's
have. I actually.
That's the
Like,
thing,
they're
though.
really
Like, if you look at the PS4 games quality compared to what PS3 came out with, it's kind of like,
It's night and day.
you know what? Yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
But I have like digital PS3 purchases, and I still have all my PS3 discs that I.
okay, well, you're the
but like
exception here.
when I want to play,
time to move on,
certain
old
ones I
man.
gotta. Because it was just recently I went through. I platinumed the 3 Jack
Sure you
games,
did.
and I replayed Metal Gear Solid.
What did you
4,
beat Jack 2 in
'cause that
like
was on
30
PS3.
minutes on hard mode?
all the early Ratchet and Clank games that when they remastered them, those are on PS3. So whenever I want to play those, pop
So I
that
guess
sucker
there are
in.
people that do it. I do it with Nintendo. Like I go back and play like Double Dragon, like the old stuff, like Bubble Bobble and like stuff like
Bubble
that.
Bobble?
That's so fun to say bubble
But
bubble
those-
bubble bubble.
But those games don't like take you,
New
you
favorite
know,
word.
a long time to do it. So I just think people that would go back and play the original Halo. I'm like, do people do that? Go back and play the original Halo?
I don't think so.
Well, they remastered
It's on
all of
PC.
them.
I mean,
Or
they-
Metal Gear? Like, do people go back and play the first Metal Gear?
Okay, real quick. I know we're wrapping up, but like they need to remake the original Metal Gear Solid.
Like remake.
Not. I mean, actually, they should remake the Metal Gear games too, Metal Gear 1 and 2. But Metal Gear Solid 1, they need to
I'd play it if they remade
they need
it.
to remake that because that game is amazing. But the original PlayStation game is quite a bit dated, but the story is awesome. The gameplay is really really fun. I'm really surprised.
Well,
that has not
they've been
remade.
remaking like the Final Fantasy stuff, so
And
they
Resident
could,
Evil.
yeah, the Resident Evil, so
Just-
they could be.
Just make sequels to Death Stranding. That's all I want.
Death Stranding's pretty cool.
Did you finish it yet?
No,
Okay.
it's so long.
All right. Well,
Deliver those
We-
packages.
all right. So we need to wrap up. People need to go. So
Dave's flying back.
thank you guys for joining us this week.
Flight.
Thanks, Jonah, for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Dave, for being here in person finally.
Yeah.
All right. You guys can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Castbox, YouTube, and other podcasting platforms. Please visit our website at www.hotkeyspodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Hotkeys Podcast and join our Facebook group at HK Hotkeys. Please like, review us, and subscribe on whichever platforms you use. And finally, you can contact us via email at hosts@hotkeyspodcast.com. Thanks.
Bye.